She leaned over, didn't even look at me, and said, "Can you drop me off a block away? I don't want them to see your car." That was the exact moment I realized I wasn't her boyfriend anymore. I was just something inconvenient she wanted hidden. She told me to pull over a block before we reached the party. She said she did not want anyone seeing her get out of my car. As we slowed down, she said it like it was no big deal, like it was a totally normal request. So I stopped right there on the curb and said, "Go ahead. Get out." She laughed like I was joking. She called me dramatic, rolled her eyes, and stepped out of the car. Then she walked off toward her friend's place without looking back. I drove straight home. I did not yell. I did not argue. I just felt something finally settle in my chest. I packed my clothes, emptied my side of the closet, and grabbed the things that were mine. Before I left, I wrote a note and put it on the kitchen counter. It said, "Hope your friends give you better rides." She came home the next morning. Drunk. Smiling. Still riding whatever high that party gave her. She walked into the bedroom, saw the empty space where my clothes used to be, and then she started calling me. Crying. Panicking. Acting like this came out of nowhere. The thing about warning signs is that you almost never see them clearly when they are happening. At the time, they do not feel like warnings. They just feel like part of life. I spent 3 years with Chloe, and looking back, there were signs everywhere. I just kept ignoring them. I kept telling myself they were nothing. I kept fixing things, smoothing things over, and convincing myself that was what love looked like. The last time I did that was the Thursday before the party. I had taken on 4 weekends in a row at the warehouse. Long shifts. Heavy lifting. The kind of work that leaves your back stiff and your hands sore. It paid extra though, and that money mattered. I was not saving up for anything fun. I was not buying toys or planning a trip. I was covering Chloe's half of the rent for 2 months so she could focus on networking and chasing her dream of becoming an influencer. I told myself that was what a good partner did. You help the person you love get where they want to go. You build the runway and let them take off. That Thursday, Chloe invited her friends over to plan their outfits and the party. Her friends were Emily, who wanted to work in public relations, and Rachel, who somehow paid her bills through brand deals no one fully understood. They treated our apartment like a hangout spot they barely respected. I had the day off, so I cleaned. I scrubbed the bathroom until it smelled like bleach. I vacuumed the rug she said held bad energy. I even put together a fancy cheese spread she specifically asked for, bought from a store that charged way too much for food. They showed up smelling like expensive perfume and talking loud over each other. I got a quick group hello before they went straight for the wine. Chloe kissed my cheek and said, "Babe, we kind of need privacy for creative flow." She nudged me toward the bedroom like I was in the way. "You do not mind, right?" I did mind. I noticed how Emily looked around our living room with a smirk, like she was cataloging everything wrong with it. I minded that Rachel put her shoes up on the coffee table I had sanded and refinished myself. But I smiled anyway. I told them it was fine and shoved myself in the bedroom. From behind the door, I heard everything. The laughter. The planning. The way they tore apart other people's clothes and lives. Chloe's voice was the loudest, like she was putting on a show for them. When they finally left, the place was wrecked. Wine glasses everywhere, smeared with lipstick. Crumbs crushed into the rug. The cheese plate reduced to scraps and dried out rinds. No thank you. No goodbye. Just a mess and silence. I felt like the guy behind the curtain, doing all the work so someone else could shine. Saturday came fast. The night of the rooftop party at Emily's cousin's building. Chloe had been buzzing about it all week. She walked out of the bedroom wearing a dress I had never seen before. Short. Sparkly. No way it cost less than our grocery budget for the month. Her makeup was sharper than usual. Her hair looked perfectly messy, like it took an hour to make it look effortless. I told her she looked amazing, but the words felt small. She smiled and said, "Emily helped me pick it out." She said the place was very upscale without even looking at me. She was scrolling on her phone, already half gone. Then she asked if I was ready because we could not be late. She said the light at sunset was important for photos. The whole drive over, the only light in the car came from her phone's screen. She was deep in a group chat called Swar Squad. I could see messages popping up one after another. Emily asked if I was driving her. Rachel laughed and said my car ruined the vibe, but ride prices were crazy. Then someone suggested I just drop her off around the corner. They said the party was on the roof anyway, so it would not be far. I did not say anything. I kept my eyes on the road. My hands were tied on the steering wheel. That car, the one I paid for and maintained, had become a joke. A symbol of everything I apparently was not. We drove into the trendy part of town. The kind of area that used to be quiet before money moved in. Bars and clubs lined the streets, music shaking the sidewalks. Her phone kept buzzing in her hand. Finally, she looked up and pointed ahead. She told me to pull over soon. Then she said it. She asked me to let her out a block away because she did not want anyone to see her getting out of my car. She did not say it in a mean way. That was what made it worse. It sounded routine. Like this was just how things were done. Hide the car. Hide me. Keep the image clean. Something went cold in my chest. Not anger. Not sadness. Just clarity. I understood everything all at once. I did not argue. I did not ask questions. I turned on my signal and pulled over right there, not where she asked, but right where we were. I put the car in park. She looked at me, confused, and asked what I was doing. She said I was supposed to go farther up. I looked at her. Really looked at her. I thought about everything I had done. The extra work. The cleaning. The money. The way I made my life smaller so hers could look bigger. I told her to get out. My voice did not shake. It was calm. Flat. Final. She stared for a second, then laughed. She said I was being dramatic. She said it was not a big deal. Just parking. She rolled her eyes like she had done it 100 times before. She said she would get a ride home later and told me not to wait up. Then she opened the door, stepped out, and slammed it shut. She did not look back. She was already pulling out her phone, probably telling her friends she had arrived free and clear. I sat there for a minute. The feeling inside me hardened into something solid. I put the car in drive and headed home. The drive was quiet, but not tense. It was peaceful in a strange way. The city lights passed by, and for the first time in a long while, my thoughts were simple. I parked in my usual spot and looked up at the apartment. The living room light was on, just like I always left it for her. I sat there for a moment, then shut the car off. Inside, the place still smelled like perfume and leftover wine. A glass sat by the sink. Glitter was smeared on the floor. I stepped past it all. I went straight to the closet and grabbed my old gym bag and the suitcases from the top shelf. I did not start packing in a rage. I started with socks. I moved slow and careful, like a man doing a job that needed precision. I only packed what was mine. Nothing more. I took the books from my side of the bed. I grabbed the framed photo of my parents and me at the lake, the one she once called old-fashioned. I picked up my toolbox, because I was always the one fixing loose handles and broken drawers. I left behind the expensive espresso machine she insisted we buy but never figured out how to use. I took my chipped ceramic mug, the one my younger brother made for me in middle school. That mug had history. It came with me. The closet told the whole story without saying a word. My side was plain. T-shirts. Jeans. A couple of button-down shirts for nicer days. Her side was chaos. Bright colors. Fancy fabrics. Clothes with tags still attached because wearing them once would ruin the look. I packed my half into one suitcase. When I slid the last shirt off the rod, my side was empty. The bare metal looked wrong, like a missing tooth. I left every hanger where it was. I did not touch her stuff. I did not throw anything. I did not damage a thing. I did not write a long angry letter. Whatever emotion I had felt earlier was gone. All that was left was focus. In the bathroom, I gathered my razor, my deodorant, and the cheap shampoo I liked. I left behind the overflowing basket of her skincare products. Bottles, jars, masks, all untouched. As my things disappeared, the apartment started to sound hollow. Like it already knew I was leaving. The last thing was the note. I stood at the kitchen counter, the same place where I had arranged food for her friends just days earlier. I took a clean sheet of paper and a pen. There was no point explaining my feelings. She had already made it clear how she saw me. So I kept it simple. I wrote 5 words. They were not dramatic. They were not cruel. They were just the natural result of what she had asked for. Hope your friends give you better rides. I did not sign my name. Writing it would have meant asking for recognition I no longer wanted. I placed the note in the center of the kitchen island, where she would see it right away. I walked through the apartment one last time. The living room, where I had listened to laughter from behind a closed door. The bedroom, now half empty. It did not feel like leaving home. It felt like stepping out of a display for a life I had misunderstood. I loaded my car until it sat low in the back. That same car she was embarrassed by now carried everything I owned. It felt dependable. Honest. I took my apartment key off the ring and left only my car key. I locked the door from the inside, closed it, and slid the key under the doormat. A small voice in my head said this was too much. That we should talk. That I should wait. I ignored it. She had already said everything she needed to say. That drop-off a block away ended up being the main story of the night. I guess this was my answer to it. I drove across town to a diner that stayed open all night. I ordered a cup of coffee I barely touched and sat there scrolling on my phone. After a while, I found a furnished sublet posted by a guy who was leaving town for a 6-month work assignment. The place was plain and overpriced, but it was available immediately and did not require a lease. I sent him the deposit using the money I had been setting aside to help cover her rent. That part almost made me laugh. The money meant for her future was now paying for my exit. By 3 in the morning, I was standing in a beige apartment that smelled faintly like cleaning spray. My suitcases were lined up against the wall. I set my chipped mug on the counter like a flag claiming the space. I texted my warehouse supervisor and told him I could take any extra shifts starting right away. Then I shut my phone off. The quiet in that apartment was not lonely. It felt open. I slept harder than I had in months. No dreams. No tension. When I turned my phone back on at 7 in the morning, it was full of messages that traced the rise and fall of her night. At 1:47 in the morning, she had texted me asking if I was still awake. She said the party was wild and that Emily's cousin knew someone who worked at Vogue. She said she would tell me later. A picture followed. Her and her friends on a rooftop, faces flushed, city lights behind them. She looked proud. Like she had arrived somewhere important. I felt nothing and cleared it from the screen. At 3:22, there was a missed call. No voicemail. At 6:15, a voicemail notification appeared. I plugged in my earbuds, poured fresh coffee into my brother's mug, and pressed play while looking out the window at a street I did not recognize yet. Her voice started loose and cheerful, a little annoyed. She said she had just gotten home. She complained about the ride costing $80. She laughed about it. Then there was a pause and the sound of keys. She asked where I was. She guessed I might be out getting breakfast and called me sweet. Then the tone changed. I heard confusion creep in as she noticed my side of the closet was empty. Drawers opening. Her voice tightening as she realized my things were gone. She asked where my tools were. Then panic hit. She told me to call her back right now. She said it was not funny. Then her voice broke. She said my name and begged. The message ended. I deleted it. I went into my settings and blocked her number. It felt simple and final, like closing a door that had already been cracked open too long. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang from a local number I did not recognize. I let it go. It rang again. Then again. The third time, I answered and said nothing. She said my name. Her voice sounded stripped down, all the polish gone. She asked where I was and what was happening. She said she was standing in the apartment, and all my stuff was gone. I told her I was gone. My voice stayed flat. I said the note explained it. She snapped back about the note, calling it petty. She repeated the words out loud like they offended her. She asked if I was serious, and said I was overreacting. She said she had been joking. I told her she was not joking. I said she was embarrassed by my car and, by extension, embarrassed by me. I said she made a choice and I was respecting it. She started yelling. She said it was just a joke and that I was too sensitive. She blamed her friends. She said that was just how Emily and Rachel were. I told her she was not just going along with it. I said she let it. There was silence on the line after that. I had already figured it out. Hearing it confirmed did not make me angry. It made everything cold and solid. So that's it, she said quietly. Her voice started to fall apart. 3 years, and you just disappear in the middle of the night over one stupid comment? You're a coward. A real man would have talked to me. None of it landed. Whatever shield had formed inside me did not crack. A real man does not have to beg his girlfriend for basic respect, I said. When it is not returned, he stops giving it. Get rides from your friends next time. I told her not to call that number again. Then I ended the call and blocked that number too. I leaned back in my chair, took a sip of my coffee, and opened a job search website on my laptop. Whatever was happening on her end felt far away, like noise from another street. It was no longer my problem. For the first time in a long while, everything in front of me belonged to me. No detours. No compromises. Just my own direction. She did not stop trying. A couple of days later, an email came through. The subject line said she was sorry. She wrote that she had reread my note over and over. She said it was not funny anymore. She admitted what she said was shallow and dumb. She said she was trying to impress people who did not matter. She said Emily and Rachel kept asking what happened, and she felt humiliated. She asked me to come home. She said we could talk. She said she loved me. I did not delete it. I archived it. I did not need to erase the past. I just did not need to live in it. A week later, another email showed up. This one had no words in the subject, just a crying face. This time, the tone was different. She said she could not do this alone. She said the apartment felt empty. She said she could not afford it by herself. She explained that the landlord told her if she did not replace my part of the rent by the end of the month, the lease would be broken and there would be a huge fee. She said she did not have that kind of money. She said her friends let her stay with them for a few days, but it felt uncomfortable. She said someone made a joke about her losing her driver. She said it was not fair. Then she accused me of being cruel. She asked if I was really going to make her lose our home over one comment after 3 years. I archived that email too. After that came social media. A follow request showed up from an account with a peaceful name and a blurry beach photo. I declined it and blocked it. An hour later, a message came from a different account with no picture at all. It accused me of running away. It said a real man would have stayed and fought. I did not finish reading it before blocking that one too. The last thing she tried was a voicemail, left from yet another new number on a Saturday morning. I saved this one. Her voice sounded wrecked. Hoarse from crying. There was no confidence left in it. She said the truth at last. They're not my friends, she whispered, and then she stopped, breathing unevenly. That was where it ended for me. She said Emily told her she was bad energy now. That she was killing the mood because she was sad all the time. Rachel asked her to pay her back for the ride home that night and for the drinks too. Said she was starting to feel like a charity case. Then she broke down. Full sobs. She said those women were never really her friends. She said I was the only real thing she ever had. She said she was stupid. That she traded me for glitter, rooftops, and access to rooms that never meant anything. There was a long silence. I could hear cars passing somewhere behind her. Then she told me she tried to move on. She met a guy from that party. Said he seemed impressive. Said he used her for one night and then disappeared. She found out he told people she was clingy. Her voice dropped so low it barely sounded human. She said she was living out of a suitcase at her sister's place. Her sister was angry too. She said she had no money, no support, no one. She said she pictured the empty closet every night. Begged me to take her back. Promised she would sell the dress. Cut off those friends. Get a normal job. Do anything. She said she did not know who she was without me. The message ended. I listened to it once. I did not feel happy about it. I did not feel sorry for her either. I just recognized it for what it was. Every problem she described came directly from her own decisions. She chose appearance over substance. All that was left was the mask. And it was empty. I deleted the voicemail. 6 months passed. That temporary apartment was long gone. I had moved into a clean one-bedroom place overlooking the river. I earned it after getting promoted to shift supervisor at the warehouse. Showing up and working hard had turned into trust. Trust turned into opportunity. My car was still the same one. Clean. Reliable. Paid off. I had saved enough money for a down payment on a small house. Simple. Quiet. I was set to close the following month. Then I got an invitation to my cousin Daniel's wedding. We were close growing up, but we had drifted apart during my relationship. She always said family events were boring. I bought a charcoal gray suit that actually fit me. The wedding took place in a botanical garden. It was warm, bright, and real. People laughed without performing. Conversations felt easy. I stood at the bar waiting for a drink, talking with people who asked about my work and actually listened. That is when I saw her. She stood near the edge of the reception by the restrooms. She looked drained. Her dress looked expensive but desperate. Emily was with her, scanning the crowd like she was hunting for relevance. They looked like last-minute guests. Add-ons. Her eyes moved across the room and landed on me. I saw it all happen on her face. Shock first. Then hope. That look crossed her face. The one she used whenever she wanted something from me. Then it changed. She took in the suit. The way I was standing straight. Calm. Alone at the bar without checking my phone or scanning the room. At peace. The realization hit her hard, and what came after was pure devastation. She leaned over and whispered something to Emily. Emily glanced at me, gave a small knowing smirk, and walked off without hesitation, leaving Chloe standing there by herself. Chloe stayed where she was for a while. Maybe 10 minutes. Just hovering. Working up the nerve. I picked up my drink and walked over to a quiet corner near a stone fountain bubbling softly. She finally approached like someone stepping onto thin ice. "Hi, James." I turned and faced her. "Chloe." "Hello?" My voice sounded the same as it had when I thanked the caterer earlier. Polite. Distant. She told me I looked really good. Her hands twisted together in front of her, a nervous habit I had never seen before. I thanked her. She said it was a nice wedding. Then nothing. The laughter and music from the dance floor filled the space where words should have been. She said she got my note. Said it like it had just arrived yesterday. Then she rushed out that she was in therapy now. Her eyes were wide and desperate. She said what she did was awful. That she was dealing with insecurities. That the woman who asked to be dropped off a block away was not the real her. I took a slow sip of my drink and listened to the ice clink in the glass. Then I really looked at her. I saw how fragile she was. How tired. How hard she was working just to hold herself together. And I felt nothing. "I know," I said. Then I told her the truth. I said the real her was the one who made that choice. The insecure version. The performing version. The cruel version. I said they were all her. I told her I just finally stopped choosing which one to tolerate. She flinched like I had hit her. Tears came, but they did not move me anymore. She asked if we could get coffee someday. Just talk. She said she needed closure. Said this was eating her alive. That was when Lisa found me. She was the woman I had been seeing for a few months. She worked as a landscape architect. She was smart, grounded, and laughed like it was effortless. She slid her hand into mine. Warm. Steady. There you are, she said. They're about to do the bouquet toss. Then she smiled at Chloe and said hello like it was the most natural thing in the world. Chloe stared at our hands. Her face went blank. That was the moment it fully landed for her. Life had moved forward without waiting. I looked at Lisa, then back at Chloe. I gave Lisa's hand a gentle squeeze. There's nothing to close, I said quietly. My life is full now. I honestly hope you find peace, but it won't be with me. Then I turned away. Lisa led me back toward the music and the lights. I did not look back. I did not need to. I knew she was still standing by that fountain, stuck in the moment she created for herself. But her shadow was no longer anywhere near my path. The road ahead was clear, bright. And finally, it was mine.